Hey guys, so as you can probably tell from my nose, I've come down with a bit of allergies today, but I just wanted to make this video, so here we are. Some of you may have known that last month I went to the UK to visit my girlfriend, and while I was there, of course, I did some shopping for Blu-rays with her. And so this video is going to be talking about some of my finds, some of what I got, and just some of my experience going into the little shops there. Even though pretty much everything I bought was just from one. So I guess let's start with where I went to and where most of these, in fact all of these, came from. HMV. Now HMV is not a thing in America. In fact, I can't think of much else like it in America. It's a store dedicated to just video products, DVDs, movies, Blu-rays, stuff like that. And I mean, of course, they had some like little merch like that, little like plushes around, but like maybe some action figures on the side. But it was predominantly movies, which I can't think of an equivalent over in America. In fact, even I think in Canada, I think it ended up going bankrupt. So even in terms of this whole continent, it's kind of I can't even say how long it will be here, but it was in the UK. I don't know if they had any bankruptcy problem there, but hey, it was there. And so, it was a store and I went to it and got some finds there. In fact, it felt really cool to be around all those movies because, like I said, you don't find it that much here. Usually there are a few aisles in Walmart or Best Buy. And Best Buy's thinking of eliminating a lot of physical media, if you've heard. So who knows how long these kinds of stores will be around, at least over in North America. And who knows if they'll even have an aisle anymore in stores like Best Buy. So, well, it was a special experience to say the least. And it felt like it, going around and seeing all those movies. I felt a bit silly because I was crouching down on my knees looking through a lot of them because this was part of what I was really looking forward to. And it did not disappoint, so how about we get to it right now? I hope I didn't hold off too long, but oh well. Now the first one I wanted to show, but I might not be able to show that much. It's Visitor Q. I'm covering up a bit of a lewd act on the cover, which I felt a bit silly for because as a Takashi Miike fan, this is a Takashi Miike film, I've looked at this cover, this poster, like probably hundreds of times, but only at the store did I go, oh my gosh, that's on the cover? And my girlfriend was shocked. She was like, that's the first thing I noticed. So I felt a bit silly. So this is a movie by Takashi Miike. And I'm going to come up front right now. I haven't seen any of the movies I've bought here. In fact, oftentimes I buy movies so I can watch them, which may seem weird, but as you'll find here, or as you already know, I'm really into Japanese movies, and they aren't always on streaming, so I can't do a test watch and then get them. So I usually just get them. But I'm a bit of a collector, so I guess it's not much of a problem for me anyways. Now, Visitor Q is a movie that is very interesting. I'd say it's one of the last of Takashi Miike's V cinema days, at least as far as I know. Looking on the back, it mentions Audition and Dead or Alive, that this tops the shockness of those movies. In fact, even on the top here, it says one of his most insane films ever. And it's just kind of interesting because I guess this is around the time maybe where he began getting like, oh, these are his kind of films, these are what he's about. So seems interesting. Now this, I'm gonna have to explain this for a few of these, but this is available in America. But it's pretty expensive here. It was only like €6 over there, so I was like, I gotta get this. I'm kind of curious how it will play in my player. Got a region-free player earlier this year, so, that was another thing I was kind of excited to go shopping about. But I got a region-free player this year, a bit curious to see how it will play because I think DVDs over there will still play in 25 frames per second over here. Just a bit something I'll find out. I guess nerdy stuff, no one will really care about that much here, but oh well. Visitor Q. I hope to watch it because people do say it's a weird, freaky movie. Now, next up is River. River is a time loop movie. Think Groundhog Day. Except with River, it's more like Groundhog 2 minutes. That's right. Every 2 minutes, the time loops. So it's a Japanese movie about people trying to get out of a time loop. And I have to think, wow, how it loops every 2 minutes. How can you do that for a movie? That would be really crazy. But I do really like a lot of time travel-y stuff like Steins Gate and just some other works of fiction like that. So I find the concept of a time loop horrifying. Not really a physical threat you can get out of. I don't even know. In Groundhog Day, it just kind of, they end up solving it. There's nothing for sure in it. Just a really, like, scary concept. I know, but it's not a horror movie. But I find that interesting. Another thing interesting is that this is from the creator of, or someone who wrote on Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. Kind of funny thing these two movies have going on. I wonder if he'll keep it up. But Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a movie about a TV that tells the future. I'm not sure how 2 minutes plays into that, but that movie is directed by Shinichiro Ueda, who directed and I think wrote One Cut of the Dead, one of my a movie I absolutely love. So I ought to check that one out. Funnily enough, another thing, kind of like this one, some people might say, why didn't you get movies exclusive to the UK? I really wanted to, but this was not a bad deal. This movie is released by Graveface Films in America, which I find kind of weird because they often deal in horror. I have to wonder how much of their kind of demographic this appeals to. I ended up getting it over there. And I think it's hard to tell because at the moment I was like, I didn't have self-service to like try to check prices. And also, I'd have to convert from pound to my money. So I didn't really have the info, but I think I got a good deal. So really, even if these aren't exclusive to the UK, I tried to make sure I got a good deal. Whether or not I did, I don't know. But yeah, River, a movie with a really interesting premise. I hope to watch it. Of course I hope to watch it. Why? I bought it. I'm so silly. And then another movie, you're going to see a few parallels between these, or at least with a certain label. Door. Now, once again, you'll recognize the label Third Window, who also published River. Now, Third Window is a label that I envied the UK for having because they publish so many Japanese movies. My exact cup of tea, cup of ocha if I want to be a weeaboo, my exact cup of tea, and they aren't here. They have a relationship with Arrow Video, which I thought would mean, Arrow should get the rights to release some of the movies here, but they end up not, for at least the most part. So some of these movies are region-free. This one I think is region-free, but I was really envious of Third Window Films in the UK. So I was really happy to get some of their stuff over there. And this one is Door. And in fact, if you look on the special features bonus film, Door 2, how is that a special feature? That's a whole other movie. Like this is like a proper bundle. You should be advertising, hey, it has Door 1 and Door 2. It's a bit weird that like list bonus film on the back. Like, I don't know, that's part of what I bought this for. Because this is another one released in America, kind of, except TerrorVision released it. And I don't really want to mock TerrorVision or anything. I was kind of like coming here being like, oh my god, I didn't want to say anything bad. Because they released Door 1 and Door 2, except they released it in two separate releases. And for me, I was like, wow, why would I want to get 1 and 2 separately for like $40 or more, depending on the price on their website and shipping? But they aren't so bad because they included some video essays as some bonuses on the movies that are not special features here. So I at least appreciate that they try to give you more reason to want their release, even if they are separate. But for me, and I know it's a bit hypocritical as someone who makes videos on films, I just wanted these two movies. And for the price, just, £19, or around maybe 18 or something, I was like, 2 movies for that? That's great, especially compared to what I could get them for in over here. But I still like TerrorVision, so don't take that the wrong way. The first one is about someone who has a kind of nosy salesman at their door, and they end up, closing the door on their fingers, and it becomes a thriller from there. So that seems really cool. The idea you can probably get from the cover, it's about hiding out in the comfort of your home from who may be behind, well, the titular door. So that seems interesting. The second one is about a bit more sensual. It's about a call girl who ends up getting weird calls from someone and becomes a thriller once more. So I'm really happy I managed to get this. In fact, this was on one of the top of my lists. So really glad I got it. Next up, you may have noticed this on Door, but aside from also Third Window, it listed Director's Company. Now, what is Director's Company? This is, well, for one, this is Crazy Family, a movie that kind of released here under very limited quantities under the label Error 444. Now, I like what Error 444 is doing, but I'm not always a fan of stuff released in limited quantities, especially when I understand because of smaller labels and nicher stuff like this, they ask for a higher price. So this was one of the movies I wanted to get in the UK because just more available and also cheaper. So here it is. Director's Company is something that Third Window has been publishing lately. Director's Company is a studio in Japan made around 1982 to 92. It's a studio that is kind of in its name, Director's Company. It's kind of a studio for directors. And the creator wanted directors to... I got this from the pamphlet inside. It was really interesting, just a small pamphlet. The director wanted directors to think like producers. And eventually it went out of business. And maybe perhaps it's because directors, when put to think like producers, will probably favor their creative mind rather than what may be more marketable in the film market. But because of that, it's a really special little studio in Japan because it's the start of little creatives. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who you may know who made Pulse, did some of his earliest work here. In fact, I wanted to get another film under this, under Director's Company he made. Underground Guard, I think. I wanted to get that, but I couldn't find it. And speaking of influential directors, this movie is by Sogo Ishii, who's changed his first name over the years. He's kind of really artsy, really weird, makes some weird stuff. Like Electric Dragon 8,000 Volts, or 80,000 Volts, and Crazy Thunder Road and Burst City. Some I want to look into. Crazy Thunder Road and Burst City look like Mad Max-like films. But this film is about a Japanese family who finally broke into middle class. They bought a house and they're pretty happy with their life, at least for the time being. it turns out with their newly acquired social status, there's a stress with keeping a certain image around their neighbors and, keeping an image around themselves. And so that stress essentially breaks their sanity, and thus they become the crazy family. Really interesting kind of premise because usually you would think a film would be about the motion of it, the social mobility of getting to a new class. Here it's interesting because it starts off, they've already achieved that class, and it's with the struggles that come with it. I think that's an interesting concept. So I'm looking forward to watching this. Hopefully a start of some, of me watching more Ishii's works. Now, that was my experience at HMV, which I found really fun and kind of pricey because what happened was, I calculated it all. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a pretty good deal, at least in the raw number of it. I think British pound is like $1.50, so it kind of added up. I was kind of like shopping blind, which in a way was cool because I could have all the fun without too much moral compunction, or rather economic compunction, about my buying. And then I got back home and I was like, oh, $90. Wow. Oh, well. I don't regret a bit of it because I still think I got a good deal. Especially because some of these movies that I would have wanted from the UK anyway, I don't want to pay shipping prices. So the fact that I managed to get them without that was a blessing. And I guess I'll talk about a movie that I wanted to find that I didn't, that I guilt kind of, I don't want to say guilt, I impulsively bought when I was back in America. Don't worry, I tried to get a good deal on it, didn't pay shipping. The Weird and Wonderful World of Ujicha. Look at all those freaky figures on top. Now this is a really interesting release by Third Window, and a pretty recent one. Not like a classic film, not a set of classic films at all. It comes with Violence Voyager and Burning Buddha Man. And the thing that's interesting about this is that the process of animation this is. Now, Third Window doesn't release too much animation, I think. But this, this is a pretty interesting, kind of old, but an unconventional way of doing it. Essentially, Ujicha draws out, I think he does it. He's the director. It's a small film. I assume he does it. But essentially, someone draws out little characters, and they cut them out of the paper, and they move them around. Gekimation. Essentially, it's like paper puppetry. So, I've really got this because I thought that was really interesting. Wanted to find this there, couldn't, but oh well, I got it. After we had went to HMV, we went to some stores, but also later to see some more movies, we went to CEX, which might stand for Computer Electronics Exchange. Essentially, think of it like a media place. Like you got games, you got movies, and their stock is pretty much made up of what people turn in. Hence CEX Exchange. At least I assume that's what it stands for. So the logo kind of was like a throwback. It looked like something off of like 2000s Flash website. I thought it was kind of a throwback. I thought it was cool. I didn't find any movies there I wanted. They were a bit, they were used, so they were cheaper, but I wasn't sure how much I spent, so I didn't want to blow any more money. But it was still fun looking around. I found this really movie that looked crazy about Osama bin Laden as a zombie. I think it was called Oh Zombie. Did not expect to see that. My girlfriend and I had a good chuckle at that. And she had kind of a good chuckle at me too. Because I wasn't used to going around stores like that. So I saw some DVDs in there and I picked one up and I was like, wow, look at this movie. It's just called P. It's the letter P. And it took me a second. She paused and went, Aaron. And I realized then I was embarrassed. I was, no, don't say it. Don't say it. It was the alphabetical divider for the movies. I was so embarrassed. But it was funny. So, all around a fun time. I guess I'll say some of the movies I had on my wish list that I wanted to find there. Like, one of them was Lawnmower Man 1 and 2, because they're released separately here, and I wanted to get this neat little bundle by 101 Films. Couldn't find it, and maybe it's for the best because I wanted to just riff it with my girlfriend anyway, so oh well. Couldn't find that. I wanted to find also Pi, which is a 90s indie movie that is technically released over here, but it's released here by A24. And while I appreciate their 4K release of it, it's expensive. And in Britain, it seems to only be like £10. So I didn't want to pay $40 for it, even if it is 4K and not Blu-ray. And it comes with some cards. Ooh, fancy. Ooh, I suddenly want to buy it. No. So yeah, I was just hoping to find that there because it's cheaper in the UK. And another movie I wanted to find was A Tale of Two Sisters, which, if you're familiar with my channel, you probably know why. Because it's a Korean horror film that had an American adaptation called The Uninvited. And I went to probably watch the two so I could do a later comparison of the two. I haven't done one of those in a while. Who knows? Maybe I will soon. I kind of have an idea of what one I want to do next, even though both movies are probably not that good. For the ones I want to do next, I still want to watch A Tale of Two Sisters one day. And I guess that's about what I got, what I wanted to get, and well, either way, I had a great time, beyond just the shopping, because, well, it was a great time visiting another country for the first time, and it was absolutely lovely visiting my girlfriend, for the first time, at least me visiting her, second time us seeing each other in general. So, yeah, there it was. So I guess I'll end this on saying, I have a few videos planned and I'll probably ask you what you want to see out of them. So keep a lookout on my community tabs for when I divulge some of my plans and ask what you may want to see. I'll say I'm looking into videos with multiple movies, just because longer videos seem to do better. But if you don't like that, well, we'll see. We'll see what I do anyways. So for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.